when I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Auburn Gresham, 86 and Sangamon. My mom and dad had me very young. My mom was 19 when she had me. My dad was 22. I knew very little about college. Knew very little about the world. When I was young, I was just very inquisitive. Many of y'all super inquisitive kids, always trying to figure something out, experimenting, asking why. I still ask why all the time. And that hope and inquisitiveness is what kind of fueled the work that I do now and even still. And when I was, 11 years old, I remember going to my dad and I said, Dad, I love video games. I was playing all the games. How are they made? And my dad, who, although he didn't go to college, he went for a couple years and then his mother passed. He had to leave school to go to work full time. He said, son, I'm not exactly sure. I know they're built with computers. We're going to figure it out. And the one thing about my parents and my community, I've always had people around me who may not have had the answer, but they were willing to help me figure it out. And so I went on this quest. I started coding at 12, writing full. Back then it was HTML and CSS and C++, any of you that are coders. And I was writing code at 12 years old. In high school, I was part of one of the first coding classes at Marian Catholic, where I went to high school, that existed. We had a teacher who was actually the brother of the principal, Dr. Paul McCaughey, and he left IBM to come teach coding at a high school. Now, there's a bunch of interesting facts about Marian. Back then when I went there, I think I was one of 15 African American kids out of 350 in my class, but I was very smart. And I, took every opportunity I could to learn something new. I played sports, always loved sports. I decided that upon graduating, I wanted to go to college. So I ended up at the University of Missouri, Columbia. I'm a Mizzou grad. When I got to Mizzou, I decided that I wanted to do something, a little bit fun. So I'm a creative person. I didn't really acknowledge that when I was younger. I think I tried to hide that and mask it with tech because, creative people, there's all this stigma around being a little weird or off. But I realize that's okay now. We'll talk about embracing your weird down the road. So I get to Mizzou and I'm telling myself, I want to make my mark on campus. So I decide that I'm going to do a talent show. Now here's the problem with me doing a talent show. I had never sung in front of people. And I certainly had never sung in front of a group of about 2,000 people that I would have had to do for this talent show. But again, me being me, I said, forget it, I'm going to try it. Why not? So the day of the show arrives. We rehearsed for months. Problem number one arises is that the lead singer transfers mid-semester. So now I have to sing lead, and I've got lead in this group. And this is R&B group days. This is back in the day, like NSYNC, Jagged Edge, Boyz II Men, and we are going to do this boy band thing. So if you could think about it, at Mizzou we have this hall called Jesse Hall. It's 1,200 people. They're all there. People drive in town. Family comes in town. And I'm on stage and the curtain's down and I'll lay out the scene for you. I've got on a yellow raincoat. I had on like a t-shirt. I had yellow rain boots, blue jeans, and we've got blue umbrellas and we're all standing there with blue lights shining down on our heads. We're singing Can You Stand the Rain, the old Boyz II Men New Edition song. I had hair back then, so my head was sweating. I don't have hair anymore, but I'm ready. And now, since the lead singer transfers, guess who has the first verse? Me. Curtain comes up, I step to the mic, I go for that first note. Now, if you all know about like singing and shows, and this song in particular, it's a very clear a cappella first note. You gotta hit the on a perfect, you gotta hit it, right? And I hit it, I knew I hit it. But all I hear from the room is boo! Now at this point, I'm like shaking, my hands shaking. You know if you have to public speak, you all get that feeling before? The sink in the pit of your stomach is there. And I knew something was off because I'm like, I know I hit the note, I sound good. What's going on? And fun fact, the person that was booing the loudest was my best friend who drove down from Chicago, who was booing me. Tells you about a lot about my friends. Curtain goes down, we go to the back, we sit down. The stage manager comes and she's, hey guys, sorry, your monitor speakers were working, but the speakers in the crowd weren't working. We're looking at each other, we talk to each other. This is my general type of leadership. We've come too far. not to go out there again. So you invest time and you work hard at things, and there's a reason behind it. For me, there has to be an outcome for the effort I put into things. And even if it's not always like the best or the brightest, the shiniest outcome, there needs to be outcome for the inputs we put into things. So we go back out, grab the mic, get up there, sing, hit the note, we get applause. We don't win the talent show, we finish second, but I realized something at that point. In life, there are gonna be times where you will get on the stage and the mic won't work. The speakers will go out, but you're gonna have to get on stage over and over again. And for many of you, that may look like you may not pass the test all the time. You may not get the job you want on your first internship. You may not win that award. You may not get the thing, but life requires you to get on stage over and over again. And so if there's any lesson through all of the things I'll share with you today in the next 15 minutes, the thing that I hope you take away is that we have to continue to get on stage. Right now, the world is a stage with a broken mic and broken speakers. The stage has potholes in it. What does that look like in context? It looks like book bans. It looks like attacks to immigrant populations and communities. It looks like attacks on folks' citizenship. It looks like attacks on every marker of identity that we may have. Black, brown, green, yellow, gay, straight, whatever. The stage is broken. It's our responsibility as a collective group to get on stage and repair those things. And again, I know it feels big sometimes. Folks often ask, doesn't it feel overwhelming to take on an organization in the midst of COVID, to work with so many amazing young people, but have to figure it all out? Yeah, it is. But the thing that I know and the consistent point of it is that I've never done it alone. Whether it was getting on stage with the other 3 young men that I was singing with, or even now with the 40 plus people who help drive the work that we do every single day. And those same people, the same community that's behind this work are behind each and every one of you. We're all here. Whether you've met me directly or not, know that I care for you immensely. I'm here for you now, I always will be. And there's never a point in time where you can't call me directly and say, Mr. Beckham, this is what I got going on, can you help? One of the things I know is that if I can't fix it, someone in my network can. So I graduated from University of Missouri, and I come home, and I just, trying to figure it out. For those of you that are juniors, you're about to go through this soon. I had no clue what I wanted to do. Now, I interned all 4 years at the same company, Navistar Financial Corporation. I did a bunch of different things. But in my last internship year, it was right after 9/11, and the organization was going through massive job cuts. The world looked a lot different than it did just 1 year prior. Sounds familiar, right? So the organization I thought I was going to have the job at, NIT, decided that they weren't going to hire. And in that last summer, sitting on an end cap, doing marketing work for the organization, an older white guy walks past and he says, "Hey, son, what do you do here?" I knew who he was. He didn't know who I was. He was the CEO of the company. His name was John Horn. He had been in international forever. He's well-dressed, nice tailored suits, and I knew who he was. And I said, "Well, Mr. Horn, I'm an intern. I've been doing web development work." This tells you how wild the world was in the early 2000s. They had an intern building a Fortune 500 corporation website. I built the entire website, 800 pages of web development, hard-coded by one intern, which would never happen now. Now, that's probably at a minimum, a $2 million project. But back then, the website wasn't really as big of a marketing tool as it is now. The internet hadn't grown to what it is. But Mr. Horn said, "Hey, you seem really personable. I always see you talking to people. What do you want to do?" I told him my plan was to go into the engineering department, that I'm a MIS major at Mizzou, and that was going to be my plan. He said, "I think you should try sales. And this summer, there's going to be an opportunity. Are you interested to come work at the finance company?" So I ended up shifting careers. I went to go work at the finance company. I fell in love with working with people, and ended up doing sales most of my early career. Navistar, Santa Fe Aventus. I did a bunch of sales jobs. Pretty much leading up until 2015, where I was working as a sales engineer, basically building out project plans for healthcare companies. And one day, October 20th, 2015, I got a phone call, and it was a person from HR, and they said, we need everybody on the phone at 9:15 a.m. We're gonna tell you about the future of the company. So at 9:15 a.m., I get the call. What would you guess happened on that call at 9:15 in October of 2015?
You got fired.
I got fired. Something called a restructure. And I actually joked in between 9:15, like the 8:45 and 9:15, I called my best friend, the same one who laughed at me when I messed up on stage. And I said, man, I hope I don't lose my job today, LOL. Power of life and death is in the tongue. The words we manifest sometimes and very often do come true. And at 9:15, I got the call that I was being let go. So I had to pivot again. And at this point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I called my parents and I called a mentor, and the mentor both asked me the same thing. They said, well, you've been doing this web development thing on your own. I've been building websites for everybody. Why not try that? And I decided to start my own company, Black Box Creative, where I was doing website design, mobile application design for a little bit of everybody. I built websites for churches across the city, Trinity, New Life, the Chicago Public Education Fund, Mary Mary, just a bunch of singing groups, R&B groups. It was crazy. But I learned how to run a business. I learned how to communicate with people in that time. Well, that was going on, but Chicago, it was at a crossroads and has been in terms of youth and young people. So I got really involved in my 5 to 9 and doing youth development work. I mentor with Lincoln Unlimited Scholars. I mentored out at Thornwood High School. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, mentored through my frat, mentored through all of these programs and organizations. So I was 24, 25 at the time, and every year I did a mentor program. Because I recognized even at an early age that I'm not standing here if it wasn't for people who had poured in and invested in me. And that love of mentoring continued to grow right up until I did a leadership program called the Impact Leadership Development Program in 2018. Now, I'm in this program 17, 18. I'm mentoring. Along the point in time, about a year prior, I met Dominique Jordan Turner, who is the former CEO of Chicago Scholars, and we became friends. And this is probably 15, 16, I met DJT. 18, I'm mentoring and working in the Impact program. And I had a mentor, Dr. William Towns, who said something very simple to me. Everything you're doing 9 to 5 is tech. Everything you're doing 5 to 9 is youth, leadership. Which one do you love? Because you're pouring so much time into one, you're gonna burn yourself out of the other. You can't do both. And I asked him, I said, I love the young people and working with the young people, but that doesn't pay well. And there's a famous quote by Mace where it's like, broke is a stage I'm not trying to go through. That's real. I'm from a low income community. I can't afford not to make income and bring in revenue. He said, what if I could show you a pathway to do both? What would you do? So we sat down, we mapped a 5-year action plan. And in 5 years, I was supposed to get into a role to come work at an organization like Chicago Scholars. I had a vice president job at Chicago Scholars a year later. How'd that happen? Well, in 2018, I mentioned I met DJT in 2016. We had become friends. I got invited to her house party for like a Christmas event. So I'm there at the Christmas event. I see Dominique, the CEO of Chicago Scholars. I'm working in tech. And I saw online that there was a vice president role that was up for Chicago Scholars. Now, I had no education background in terms of working and doing, I thought I didn't, doing curriculum design. I didn't think I had, much knowledge in like, how do you run a program like this? And I walked to JT and I said, I'm really considering applying for this VP role. And she kind of gave me the stone face. You know how you say something, it doesn't land well, but I didn't understand why at the time. She didn't say much, she walked off. So I thought to myself, well, that's a telling indicator that I don't need to apply for this role. So I didn't apply. And the role went unfulfilled for almost a year. It was right around now, this time, May 23rd, 2018, about a month prior, by March maybe, I saw the role post again a year later and I decided to apply. I applied for the role. Now let me tell you how we used to set up the interviews at Chicago Scholars. And thank God we don't do this anymore. We used to sit everybody that was interviewing for the same job, the first round, in a room in a circle. So imagine all of you all are interviewing for the same role, or this whole first role. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, perfect. I'm the hiring manager, and I tell you, each of you have 1 minute to answer the same question. There'll be 5 questions, 6 questions. Each one of you will start the next question. If you go over 1 minute, an alarm will go off and cut you off, and you had to stop. So you answer, you finish. You have to come up with a different answer. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. I've got the first question in the first chair around the thing that I thought I was weakest at. And I gave the best answer out of the 6. Now, my title at the time was CEO of Black Box Creative, a tech company. Everybody else in the room had different big titles. Vice President of Career for this school, Head of Career Workforce for the state of New York. And what I did at that moment, when I heard the titles, that I compared myself to everyone else. It's another famous quote: comparison is a thief of joy. You can't compare yourself to other people. What is for you is for you. What you've done is yours. And so by question 3, I realized that not only was I designed and prepared to be there, I was ready for the role. I had done curriculum design. I had led youth programming for the 100 Black Men of Chicago. I was teaching leadership at UIC. All the things that I did not think I knew and I was prepared for, I had already done. And so I get the role at Chicago Scholars, Vice President of Career and Leadership Development. I walk into the organization in 2018. 4 of the vice presidents, Dominique is the CEO. And by 35 days in, maybe 50, I became, from the new guy, newest VP, to the most tenured. Everybody left. We had 50% staff turnover that next year. The org was in the midst of a transition, a growth phase. I didn't know what I was walking into. I left a very stable organization, kind of boring, to come here, but it was the best decision I ever made. And I sat and I learned from Dominique. I paid attention to how she led. I built relationships with the staff. I built relationships with the board. I got the opportunity to actually hire my boss. When I started at Chicago Scholars, I was reporting to Dominique. We hired Brooke, who you all met earlier. Brooke became president of Chicago Scholars. So I reported to Brooke at Chicago Scholars. Put a pin in that, remember. Brooke reported to Dominique. So we're marching through. In March of 2020, what happens? COVID. Now, January of 2020, I got a call from an organization. I can say this, he's not in here. He might not know this. I got a call from an organization, Genesis Works, to come interview to be their executive director. I actually got the offer, got the job, January 19. No, this is December 19. COVID was March 2020. So I get the offer. I go to, this is different. I go to my bosses and I say, I've got this offer to go be an ED over here, but something in my gut says I should talk to you all about this. Dominique and Brooke both said, don't leave. We want to keep you. Now, this is $100,000 more than I'm making now, but I made the decision to stay. Now, why would you do that, you say? Because sometimes what's in front of you is the right move, and it's better than what may be out there when you're chasing the wrong things. Another lesson that I've learned over the course of my life is that if you chase purpose over finances, it always works out better for your good in the long term. We're all designed to do something, and oftentimes we don't catch it. The trick is getting you off the route and the path you're on by putting something in front of you that may look better. But do your due diligence. I sat down with that organization. I looked at their finances. I looked at their model. I talked to the team. And I just never felt like it was for me. Now, Genesis Works, they make revenue by having young people work, and they charge like double the fee. So they take part of the money for the org, the other part for the student. What happened when March hit of 2020? The world shut down. So if you can't work and students aren't working, there's no revenue. So I made the right decision to stay. A few months later, I got a call from Dominique on day before my 40th birthday, and she was calling to let me know that she had decided to leave Chicago Scholars and that her and Brooke both told the board that I should be CEO. That it would be an interim role, that I would have the opportunity to bid on the full role, and that was, fall of 2020, early fall 2020. I went into the 2021 year interim. I did that job, interim CEO, for multiple months until March of 2021, when I was named CEO of Chicago Scholars. So had I left, who knows what happens. The other point in that too is that it is good to have people who are really in your corner and allied to you. Brooke, Dominique, two of the allies. Brooke was president. In some regards, in most corporate roles and worlds, she would have went to the board and said, I want to be CEO. But one thing about her, and one of the reasons why we're co-CEOs at Reach, and I respect her immensely, is because not only does she know what she's great at, she also knows how to build teams and put people in their best positions to win. Can't say enough about her. So I'm here now as CEO in a role that when I came to Chicago Scholars, I said I was going to be here for 2 years. 7 years later, I'm still here because of you. In March of 2022, it's 25, during the time I was here, right after becoming CEO, about a year in, I was driving the West Loop, and unfortunately I got hurt in a carjacking. I actually ended up losing sight in my right eye for a little bit, and I was supposed to be off work multiple months. I ended up coming back like 3 weeks later because I don't know how to sit still. But in the midst of all of that time, a few things happened. I got the vision and the idea of how we could build Reach. I started to understand more clearly the work that we need to do in belonging, that the power of this organization, while I love the college, and that's all great, what is fueled by is the community, the people. We drive one another. We encourage and push one another. The team helps you all to do all the things. You all do the work. We just crack the door. And that's driven and done by people. So how do we maximize belonging? So we worked on our Young Men of Color program. We created and enhanced Women's Lift Lead, programs that really create sense of belonging, community for all scholars. And the other thing that I do outside of work is that I paint. Started painting right around getting this role in 2020. The other opportunity I had was I was asked by the governor's team to consider being state rep in the 26th district. Again, I looked at the opportunity. I sat down with a mentor. His name was Brian Sleet. We had a conversation about the role. And he said, if you decide to go into politics, you have to have a great way to manage stress. I said, well, can't you tell I'm a basketball player? And he was like, you're too old to hoop. Let it go. He was right. I had torn all my Achilles and everything. It's just all bad. But I talked to him about getting back into art and painting. And he said, well, you should do that. I used to love to draw, mentioned video games and art as a kid. And unfortunately, Brian had an aneurysm and passed the very next day after that conversation, right before his 41st birthday. And so I went home, I got a canvas out the back, and I started painting. And it was terrible, the first piece. I actually have it in my office. I should go get it, show you all. Wasn't great, but I stuck with it. And a year later, I was painting something that I posted that went viral online, and it took off. That piece, which is an image of Ruby Bridges, this is actually one of my pieces, but it's not up here, I'll find it. Ruby Bridges actually went viral. I looked online, it had 100,000 likes. People were asking to buy it across the globe. It took off, and now since that piece I painted in 2020, it's been on Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, season 3 of Will Trent. I've sold 3,000 of them across the globe from something that I didn't think I could do and didn't think I was going to be able to. So I get hurt in 22, and I created 12 pieces while painting with one eye patch and one eye. And those pieces have gone viral and been around the world and the globe. I actually have a show, art show at a gallery in Atlanta next week on Friday. I shipped 9 pieces down yesterday. I've had a gallery here on 31st Street. And I share that with you, not to ever brag, but to share what the power of belief can do. I was 40 years old when I became an artist. Now I've done artwork for J. Cole. I've had shows in galleries. I have paintings everywhere. And if I said anything would be my legacy, I thought it was going to be the work of Chicago Scholars and Reach. And now I know that my artwork will live on 75 years plus after the long time after I'm gone, because I have copyrights on all of my artwork too. And I can pass that on to my family when I'm out of here. So there's a lot of narratives and things, but I hope you heard in all of this that resiliency, mentorship, belief, pushing when you don't always see the outcomes. Those are the things. There's a famous story I love. It's about a hummingbird who's trying to put out a forest fire in the forest. And the hummingbird's swimming back and forth and it's grabbing water and it's putting the water on the fire. And all the animals in the forest are like, what are you doing? You're just a hummingbird. You'll never accomplish your goal. And the hummingbird flies and it looks back and it says, I'm doing whatever I can for as long as I can. See, that for me is the method to this thing. It's the whole, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? It's the, if I throw rock in the ocean, I may never ever see the outcomes of where the waves land on the other side, but I know there's gonna be waves and ripples. How many ripples can we create together? How many rocks can we throw? How many things can we do by creating simple moments of change, being kind to somebody in the moment that create massive outcomes for our community and for our country? That's what Emerge is about. So while you sit in your seat and you think, I've got this internship, know that you're part of a bigger ecosystem. 400 plus young people now in year 8?
Yes.
Year 8 have gone through this program. Some of those young people have gone on to start businesses of their own. Some of them have nonprofits, like Malcolm Fox, who has Project Love and Project Gratitude. They give away thousands of coats a year. He works in logistics at McDonald's. He started in this program. Emmanuel Williamson, who was one of the first African-American young men to work at Mesero. There are so many stories. Stephen Chin, I can name 50 to 100 scholars that I've met through the course of this program who are not only doing amazing things individually, but that commitment to the Chicago Scholars community and the investment that they've made has made impact in other scholars too. Even one of your Emerge coaches is a scholar. So I'll stop. I'll take some questions. Anything y'all want to know, I'm pretty much an open book. But that's my story. It's a quick version of it. So, questions, comments, thoughts? What y'all want to know? Yeah.
Sounds like you have to do a lot of relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your tips or, I guess, tricks on like fostering good and meaningful relationships?
Great question. So there's a few things that I do now. And actually ChatGPT, I didn't talk about Reach. I didn't talk about AI. No, I'm like a technologist. And so I implement strategy and systems in how I network. The first thing is I go into relationships. I say I don't do shotgun marriages, right? I go in thinking not what they can do for me, but what I can do for them. How can I add value to the people that I meet? And so typically I meet folks, I never ask for anything. Great example of it. Last year we met the owners of the Bears, the McCaskey family, Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles. They picked Chicago Scholars for their My Cleats, My Cause initiatives. So it was really cool. They did a cleat for the Bears. We got to bring a couple scholars to the game. We were on the field, we met them. We didn't ask for anything, right? That was a great opportunity. This last summer, they brought us back in. We were there for their career day. This time we break a busload of scholars up. We take scholars there. Scholars get to interact with Kevin Warren, the president of the Bears, ask questions. You got to meet all the departments. It was a career fair for the Bears. Very cool. Year 3 of that relationship's enhancing to something else. So yesterday I get an email from Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, and Tanisha Wade, their EVP and legal counsel, and like, we got something we want to work on with you. I can't share what yet, but the fact that in 2 years, and it took 2 years of time to build to get here, it just speaks to building relationships with authenticity, intentionality, and going into it being a value add and a resource will always, lead you to success. The other things is follow through. I can tell you all, over the course of my life, I've probably given out 20,000 cards. I mean, I literally know that many people, I'm certain. And I'll give a card, I'll say, hit me up if you need me. Or you need this job, follow through, send me an email. What percentage do you all think, just a rough guess of the number of people that actually, out of 100, how many actually reach back out to me? No. 2. 2 out of every 100 folk. And I'm willing to do the thing, but no one is going to track you down to do something you need them for. It's just not. So you have to advocate for yourself in your own behalf. So one of the things I've gotten much better at that transparent moment, I used to suck at following up. I'm too busy. I forget everything. I asked ChatGPT last night to help me identify my blind spots. The number one was overextension. You may be overextended. You think I'm CEO of 2 companies and I have an art business. Yeah. So what I have to do is build systems so that I'm not. So one of the things when I go to conferences, I built a ChatGPT prompt. I asked the prompt I let it know over the course of the next 4 days, I'm going to be uploading photos of business cards with links to folks' LinkedIn profiles. What I'd like you to do is, in a graph, in a Google sheet, put the people's name, email, phone number, the link to their LinkedIn, and create an intro email on possible ways we can work together. Then draft it and put it in a mail merge and set the files as draft emails for me. I'll come back and review them later. So South by Southwest, big conference in Austin, is tech, music, and film. I met 153 people in 5 days. I had 153 contacts with their laid out with an email ready to go. So I asked my assistant to read the email and then hit send on them if they make sense. System and process. Back in the day, I would have been trying to drop those cards in the Teams file, and I'm out moving and shaking, so it's hard to get back to do those things. But now people got emails. So today, I actually just sent emails out. We're finishing our strategic plan, which is like the business plan for Chicago Scholars, the next 3-year plan. I'm starting to book meetings now for August and September with our key stakeholder groups. One thing with most companies, whether for-profit or nonprofit, 20% of the people fund 80% of your profit and revenue. So 20% of our companies, our donors, those folk are 80% of our revenue. So those 20%, I'm getting on their calendar now for September so I can roll out the new strategic plan with them and show them the vision of where the org's headed. So planning, systems, and process. And then just making sure you go into it with intention. Good question. Happy to share the prompt. I'll share it with Danielle. She can send it to you guys if you all want that prompt as well. Yes?
You mentioned, hi, my name is Juliana. You mentioned that you had a lot of mentors and mentorship you do on your own as well. A lot of times in organizations, we get a mentor just matched, but how do you build those mentorship relationships with people that aren't like in a structured way?
Great question. I struggled with this when I was your age too. There was a gentleman, his name's Mark Brooks. He owns a bunch of restaurants. He actually has restaurants in O'Hare and Midway, just a phenomenal dude. And I just looked up to him. And I would go to, see him, always talk to him. Then finally I reached out. It was like LinkedIn. I was like, hey, I know we don't know each other well, but this is who I am. This is what I'm hoping to accomplish. Can I just sit down? Can I take you to coffee? I just love to learn about your story and your journey. And you know what he said? Absolutely. I can tell you with a 99% success rate. I've done that numerous times to people. They've always said yes. And it's interesting, like I was nervous about it and it was something that I was apprehensive to do at first, but folks like to talk about themselves, and they're not asked. So I would say if there's somebody you want to identify, that's a great way, but also leveraging the network too. So your CS mentors, you can tell them, I want to go into this field. Right? I want to work here. I want to do this thing. This summer I'm working here and I'm really interested in data science. Okay, great. Do you know anybody? They're going to go tap their network and they're going to say, yeah, I got a friend that does that. Happy to connect you. So leveraging the networks that you're already building is a huge way to do that. It's a very valuable way to do that. The other great way is starting in like LinkedIn research. So if you all aren't connected with me on LinkedIn, you should be. I'm connected to, I think, 12,337 people across the country. Now you're 1 degree of separation from 12,000 people from me. And I know most of them. So I can hit them and say, hey, I got a scholar that's doing this. I do it all the time. And would you sit down with this scholar? I mean, it's been folks that are in entertainment, to newscasters, to folks who are running companies and businesses. All of them are happy to talk to you. Because the one thing that we all in my age group and above, most of us want is a better future. Whether it's for our children, or for our kids, whatever, like we want to make sure the future's brighter. The way we can empower that, and the easy way to make that happen is empowering you all. Yes.
Well, all of us are in our 20s and sort of like about to go into like our careers,
Yep.
building our careers, or whatever the case may be. What exactly do you suggest that we do within this 10-year span to like build that foundation and like get started in our careers properly?
If I would tell you anything over the next 10 years, there's a few things. I'm going to break it down into like 3 points. A, continue to build social network. There's a study by Dr. Raj Chetty that says the greatest indicator of success isn't where you grew up, it isn't where you went to school, it's actually your social capital. The best place to start building social capital is right in this room. I guarantee you there's a few CEOs in here, there's a few entrepreneurs in here, there's multiple millionaires in here. So whether it happens in 5 years, 10 or 15, these are the future business partners, investors. The Chicago Scholars Network is crazy. And I don't mean like our board. I mean, they're great too. I mean, our scholars. Do you all know that the person, the head of the deputy mayor of planning development, that has basically the task of thinking about what the future of the whole city will be, is a Chicago Scholar alum, Sierra Boatwright. There's another brother who's at this amazing organization called Surge that's basically empowering education leaders across the country. Will Collins, Chicago Scholar alum. There's a lady in New York who's like got this crazy company, she just sold it, that is doing work to clean up our oceans, climate justice work, called Sustainable Oceans Alliance. Daniela Fernandez, she's a Chicago Scholar. She's raising like $20 million right now for a new business. The head of tech, who did not tell us he was an alum, the head of technology, the young guy who built and leads all of the tech development for Reach, Eric Smith, is a Chicago Scholar. You all are connected to so many dope people, you don't even know it. And they're ready, because of that logo that you all should put in your LinkedIn profiles, that you should wear proudly, because that logo opens doors. So you already have it, 1. Number 2, save as much as you can. Protect your credit and your finances. If you don't understand financial literacy, if you want some help there, we've got programs we can work on. We've got partners in Discover, Northern Trust, Huntington Bank, that all have resources. You can do self-paced classes to explain credit, how to save, how to build budgets. Start to do that now. The earlier, the better. You don't have to save as much when you're younger to have more down the road. And it's harder to catch up later. So you get that first job out of school, put money in the 401k or the 403b plan. Take the match that your employer will give you, usually 1 to 3%. Do that right now. Protect your credit. Don't go buy a bunch of things on credit. Let me tell you, as a person who's done it, you don't need it. You don't need it. The fallacy of all of this, and this is the American consumer economy, and I will not be political, is that we are told that we need things. We don't. What's the $800 pair of shoes you buying every week gonna really do to offset your happiness? You could put that $800 in the bank or in some asset-based vehicle, an equity vehicle, a stock. Right now, you spend $800 on NVIDIA stock and you leave it for 20 years. Think about what that will be. And we can do the math. The stock market historically has increased 8% year over year over the history of the market. It always gains. Even when it loses, it comes back. Start a stash account right now. If you're 18, take some of your summer money, put 10% into stash. Put 10% into savings, use the rest. And start that habit. Build that habit now. The third one is practice great health, self-care and healthcare. All of those other things don't matter if your health's bad, right? And so if you're not working out, work out. If you're eating bad food, it's okay to have your cheat meals. Don't do it every day. Yeah, you're young. Your bodies are resilient right now. Let me tell you, the minute you turn 30, all that changes. And it feels like it's a long time away. It goes very quickly. So in order to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you gotta have health. I see people my age dropping dead from heart attacks and strokes at 40. It's wild to me because of the habits and the healthcare choices they made when they were younger. And it's not just the physical part of health. You can be in great physical health and mentally and spiritually be a disaster and be just as ill and sick. So you have to have therapists. I'm a believer of, I like trainers. Give me all of them. Give me a pastor, give me a physical trainer, give me a therapist, give me a financial coach, give me a leadership coach. I need experts. Give me all the expertise I need. I told you even last night I asked ChatGPT, where are my blind spots as a leader? How can I be better? And it knows me enough now after me using it the last 2 years and feeding it all my info, it laid them all out. Overextension, you work too hard. You got to start to delegate. Hero complex, because you're a high functioning leader, oftentimes people identify you as the source of the solution, not your team. Elevate the system and less of you, right? 3, I mean, it walked me through what my challenges were. And it was right, because it knows me. And as a self-aware individual, I want to build better systems and process so that I can have time to give to the other things I need for me, my own self-care, but also be better to start to focus on the innovations I need to make in this job as CEO of Chicago Scholars and co-CEO of Reach. The last one, and this is one for all of you very high-functioning overachievers in this room, I love that we are high-functioning overachievers. It's wonderful. Continue to set big goals and push towards them. But if I could give myself any advice when I was your age, it's as I'm driving this very fast, high-powered engine towards that goal and that mile marker, that big thing, destination, look out the window sometimes and enjoy the beauty of the journey too. Take a moment to breathe, take a moment to step back, take a moment to look at what you're accomplishing along the way. For some of y'all, you follow me, I'm preaching to the choir here. I'll get an award, and I'm very grateful. I don't ever want to sound grateful for people that honor the work we get to do. But I'm always looking at the next thing. Because for me, the awards don't matter, the accolades don't matter. What matters is that I know there's still kids out here in Chicago who need this program, and we're not able to get to them yet. Because we don't have enough money in-house yet to serve all of the 4,000 plus young people who are college ready, first gen, from under-resourced communities that need support. So I'm pushing towards that. But I'm starting to slow down a little bit as I've gotten older to enjoy the ride too. To look at the beautiful things that have been created along the way, the lives that have been changed, and enjoy the small moments as well. So take a pause. It's cool to not do something sometimes. To read a book, to walk, to take a breath, to enjoy the moments that we don't always get and we may not always be able to. You know, we're very fortunate to have function, have use of our minds the way we do, to be able to, some people don't have that. Many people don't have that. So if we don't enjoy it, who will? And enjoy our families. Whatever family looks like for you. But that's your direct family, friends, whatever you call family. Enjoy them. Seasons change. You never know what can go. So those are my big 4. Got about 10 minutes left. I see some smiles and some head nods. That's good. Questions? Yes.
What's something about yourself you decided to change, and how did you go about that?
Good question, Marcy. Something that I just decided to change, and how did I go about it? I think 4 years ago, after I got hurt, I got back out into work, and I started to build some of the same habits that I had before. And the one thing I noticed was just I was not in good shape. I was fake playing basketball and stuff, but cardiovascular health, real health, it wasn't there. I was fake healthy. I could put some clothes on and it looked okay. I started going to the gym. I go to the gym 5 days a week. That is a non-negotiable for me. And that is something that brings me great peace and calm. The other is painting. I am actually better functioning when I paint. Here's a good thing. I had an executive coach. I was an Obama leader last year as part of the second fellowship class for the Obama organization. And my coach asked me a question. My coach said, close your eyes, and when you paint, how do you know you've made the right brushstroke? And I was like, I actually never know when I make the right brushstroke. I just feel it and I paint. She's like, well, how do you know you made the wrong one? And I was like, oh, wait, I do know when I made the wrong brushstroke. I always know when it's out of line or it's off from what I'm trying to get to, that I need to fix it, cover it up. She said, okay, that feeling right there, that's the same feeling that's your intuition on when you've made a wrong decision at work. So now I can identify in my gut this kind of real, like, innate feeling of, oh, that wasn't it. Just like I do when I paint. And the more I paint, the more in tune I am with the feeling that I have, the feelings that I have, to be able to identify when I made the wrong decision or when the masterpiece is completed. Most artists never know when it's done. It's just something you feel. And there are points now, like I'm working on the strategic plan, I can see the masterpiece. And in my gut, I'm like, oh, we almost there. It's like one more little mark and I can sign it and it's ready to go on display. So those feelings are now like that, using art to drive that, and then fitness and health are the two big things that were shifts with me in the last few years. Y'all good? You look good. Y'all woke up a little bit. I know after lunch is tough, man. They always put me after lunch, and I'm like, why do they do this to me? I gotta be the one to like get y'all back up and amped. But I'm really appreciative of your time. I really recognize, again, like I said, what a big commitment this is, but make the most of it. Like those of you all at some really cool companies. And so like ask people, ask around, ask the managers you have, would it be okay to set up coffee and lunch with other people in other departments? They might say, we got that plan for you, we're gonna do that. Or they may say, sure, by all means, go ahead. Sometimes certain internships are more structured than others, so some orgs will do that for you, some won't, but if they won't, do it yourself. Look on that org chart like, oh, this person's the chief marketing officer. I wonder will they have coffee with me? It might be a 15-minute coffee, but take that 15-minute coffee, run with it, so they'll know you. Because what I can guarantee is that not many other interns are doing that. And then tell them, I'm a Chicago scholar, and I'm an intern here with the Emerge program. Like, help us brand too. Tag us online. You do something cool at work, share it. Post it on IG, post it on TikTok, tag Chicago Scholars. This is a new ask. I haven't asked this for past classes, but as we think about the shift that we need to make as an organization, we got to get a little bit better and more proud at our branding and who we are as a group. And we got to start to be more vocal as well. I talk to the mayor, I talk to the governor, I talk to people all the time. They know who we are. The rest of the city needs to too. Thank you. Thank y'all.